So the exterior of the Enclave to me is like really interesting, the way that they put it together. I mean, I like it better than the older models. The 2019, I mean, it's really nice. And as far as the interior of the car, they really did a good job on it. I like the way they blended things, the color choices that they used, instead of just having it being a straight up black. I can't stand it when I ever wanted to get a car and I just look on the inside of it and it's just black leather. I mean, it's just so plain. And they didn't do a half-assed job on this. I mean, they really did a pretty good job. And for a lot of people thinking that these are just like an old man's car, I mean, it's not really that bad. And I would say this, I'm kind of a car fanatic, that I'd almost buy one of these just because it's luxurious. And it's just really, for the most part, it's kind of pretty. And on the outside of it, this one, I ended up getting gray to drive. I mean, but in all honesty, I'd probably, if I get something, I'm only gonna have this a few more days, probably black. Black's always been my go-to color, but that's for the exterior, not the interior. But let's go ahead and put this thing into gear. So put this into gear. Basically, first thing I'm gonna do is stop it, okay? Turn it off. Now with shutting it off, interior lights come on. To start this, you push in on the brake and then you touch the start button. And now that we've done that, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the shifters. So to put it in gear, keeping your foot on the pedal, go into the shifter, you're gonna push that side button in, pull back, pop it into drive. And then to park it, basically, you're gonna just hit that top button. So right now, it just came to a stop, and we missed it. It's called auto stop. Look at this, I'm gonna flip the camera around. So now when we go to hit the gas again, watch this. It restarts it. And what that does is it saves a lot of fuel. A lot of fuel, and I kinda like that. So now we got this thing on the interstate, and just to give you an idea, it's got a little bit of power, you know? I mean, it's not too crazy, but I mean, it gets up and goes. But the one thing they appreciate with it is it's pretty lightweight, so I mean, it can really get up and, if you really need it, it can kind of get up and go just a bit. So now let's dive into a little bit of the electronics with this nice dash that we got. So to quickly go over this whole thing, you know, like, all right, starting with the steering wheel, this is the cruise right here. And this is the increase it, decrease it, cancel the cruise, put it on. This is for the voice command. You hit that and the voice command happens. This is also so you can end your call. So also one thing on this, when you're cruising and you want to be able to set the speed, two ways you can do it. You can hold this up long enough that the speed will set into the system, or use these and just hit that one. Now with this one, and I have my phone synced to my Buick.
Say a command or say help.
Help.
You can say phone, audio, or OnStar. To
Phone.
Call a number quicker, 212.
Exit.
Speech session ended. Goodbye.
And in the middle course, you have the cluster, which this, you know, is not a touchscreen, but what you have is this controller right here to actually navigate through the menus. And if I could focus both of these at the same time, I would, but it kind of sucks for some reason I can't. But right here also control the radio volume, and that's pretty nice. I like having everything on the wheel because I don't like always having to like reach over to the stereo, because like here's the volume knob right here in the middle, but why not just do it right here? Simple. So getting into the whole instrument panel right here, of course we have audio, and when you get into this, you can basically go through any of the XM stations on this, which I don't really use this because of course I have it connected to my iPhone, even though this reads up like iPod. One over, you have the iPhone. I actually have two different phones. I have a iPhone Galaxy, and then this is Chuck's phone. Chuck, he's just the person I got the car from, so Chuck's not even on this. I don't even know why his shit's still on here. But OnStar, and then you can get into your text messages and stuff like that, which, you know, you have to kind of pair these. But as you can tell, I have two different phones because this is actually reading for two different phones. Then you got a home button. Just hit that, go back home. So the climate, I like this because you can adjust it for the rear or the front, and you can control, of course, the fan speed like this. That's in the rear coming on. And then I go to the front, do that, and then if you basically Another interesting thing is like this. Say, you know, like women and men, I mean, they're different when it comes to temperature. Women's, I'm getting hot. You know, they turn this thing way down, like low. And the guy's like, I'm getting kind of cold. I'm turning my side up. Screw you. Puts it all the way on high. You can do that. And then you can still kind of adjust the fan speed. But in the idea, the temperatures are going to be different on both sides. Now, let's say somebody gets bossy and says, we're all going to freeze to death if we don't have the temperature the same. You hit the sink. Now you notice both of these are on high. And whatever the guy says goes. Look at that. Goes right with that. And another thing that's neat too is with these newer systems, you have what's called auto. When you hit this, that auto basically kicks on like a home furnace. So if the temperature drops below the 77, say we got it set, you hear the system is shut off now. Now it's not 81 in here, you hear it kind of kick back on. Once it gets to that 81, this system will shut off. The heat system will just kind of like shut off. And then your heat seats are right here next to the dial. So see, that's on high, medium, low, off. Another thing, off, on, that's the whole system. Didn't know that to begin with, kind of had to confuse me, but this climate button, if you're on like say the home screen on that and you want to be able to get your controls, hit that climate button, do it real quick so you can kind of see it. It brings you pretty much right back to that screen. Another thing too is the defrost. That's for the back, and this front one, if you hit it, does something kind of neat. So do that, and that's really maximizing out of the front of this, and it's basically putting the defrost on. So when you do your remote start, that usually will kick on automatically. So now, before we get any farther in this, there's something with this that I kind of got a kick out of, is in the idea when you hook your phones up to it, it'll actually kind of sync to the stereo, and you can use your phone, and it has its own little screen that comes up. So everybody's probably kind of curious, how different is it on an Android phone and how different it is on an iPhone. And I brought both of my phones with, because believe it or not, I actually have like 3 phones that I have now, because, you know, I couldn't get away from the Android OS, and I kind of like Apple just a little bit. So I mean, they're both kind of unique to me, but yeah. So let's go ahead and check this out and plug them both in and see what happens. So step number 1, you get your cords and they plug in. Basically, this is the front of it, you know, they just plug in right down here. In the middle of that, believe it or not, you do have a 3.5mm jack. So I have my standard Android cord, and then the iPhone cord right here. So let's plug in our phones and see what happens. So not to ruin this, but immediately after plugging in the Android, I noticed there's a lot of apps that I have to download to actually have this thing work on here, and a lot of accepting, and I'm just going to kind of go ahead and go through them. I think it has like 4 different apps, but for the most part, it's just sort of kind of one of those things. I haven't really seen the display actually change yet, so we're gonna set this up and then see what happens. So Android Auto, I'm gonna set this up real quick and we're gonna see what happens. So there we go, we got the Android Auto on, and it runs you through kind of a setup. So I guess setting this up on Android, I kind of like it, because basically what I did is I got into the maps and I was like, I wanted to see traffic, so I could do traffic, the roads light up, do satellite. Now you really got an idea of the aerial view that you're on, and I mean, it's kind of nice, you know. But route options, you know, and you could select this and really set all this stuff up. But avoid highways, hold torrent, ferries, and all that. So annoying enough, I cannot type in on this the address that I want to go. Like, I hit Google Maps and it exits out of it. So I guess what we have to do is wait, Sears Tower. This is torture. It's so, yeah, let's see if it goes.
Showing results for Sears Tower.
So 22 minutes from where I'm at. All right, so let's do this. 9.2 minutes, and it gives me kind of a route, you know. And for the most part, you know, from Cicero to Chicago. Basically, you can scroll out on this and you can see my route. And the nice thing is, see this how like I put on the traffic and you can actually see how busy it is and how crazy it is. That's about kind of what it looks like. So now that we got done with this, because this was more basic than what I thought. Even if I hit the headphones, it's like, well, you got Google Podcasts, Google Play Music, and of course, I've never used either one of these, so I might as well check it out. No items. So hey, let's go ahead and switch to the iPhone. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and plug in the iPhone, and we're gonna see the big difference on this, because let's just check it out. See how Buick likes this. Plugging it in. Switch device. Switch. Apple CarPlay. It's already coming up anyway. Really, I probably don't even need to switch any or even press anything. But there we go. It's like immediately up. So whenever I'm using this, and I gotta clear some of these stupid notifications off that I get from people trying to. But anyway, it's not bad. So if I go onto my YouTube, it's funny with this. If you hit this, this is actually just Apple iTunes. They kind of hijacked that, even though that's obviously a YouTube logo, and you don't want to use that podcast. You even get into this, and you can browse. You can go to the Joe Rogan, and I don't really want to get.
Hey friends, this episode of the podcast is brought to you by.
I don't want to get demonetized, so I can't play that too much. And you just guess as soon as you start pushing it, shit, it's gonna play immediately. You can get into your phone, and I don't want to do that because it's going to show all my contacts. Of course, I don't want to share that on YouTube. But another thing you can do is if you get into your YouTube, and just to kind of make sure I have all my windows closed, I got to kind of go out and close all these individually. But I kind of get onto my YouTube, click this, and I had to find copyright music because I don't want to also have this. It has nothing to do with the demonetization. It's with the the only thing that sucks is I want to be able to broadcast that to that TV, and I can't do that. So that's one thing, Buick, I know it's kind of sucks for us because we want to just be able to put that up there like that and kind of watch it, but I think that kind of has to come along with distractions and stuff. There's probably too many people that have wrecked like this, but anyway. The iPhone, I think, is more impressive on this than the Android, and I'll just say that right off the bat. And now for the very last bit of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the hood, give you a little look at the engine, see what you think of it. So to open up the hood, just reach your finger right in here, right in the center. It's got a little lever, push over into the right, and pop up. Really, it's not that hard. I'm just clumsy at opening up stuff, so totally not the vehicle's fault, but this is a V6, basically, it looks like, and VVT. I like the idea that it still shuts itself off when it comes to intersections. And to get to the battery, pretty easy access, really, for the most part, if you have to take it out. Not saying you're going to have to, but I mean, really, overall, not bad. Still no lights on that, which would have been nice when you pop your hood. It's kind of nice to be able to see that. And before I head out on this, I just want to kind of give these front lights a little bit extra attention. Look at that. It's like a halo. Really, that's a wicked headlight. And the same thing, even like with the bottom, you have, that's kind of what it looks like, I mean, it's a really fancy. And I mean, I love the way they redid the front end on these. And one last thing, even on this one, it's it's a dual exhaust, so I mean, that's kind of nice. The whole thing with the tail lights, not really super bad. One thing else I kind of wish would work is like this, be able to pop up. As you can tell, I haven't even been driving it that long, and I washed it today, and with the winter, you can never really win in the winter because it's just so much salt, that they just put on the roads. It's in the Midwest a killer. But last little feature also I think I'll show you right before we take off is I'm going to show you the auto start. So this one's been a little bit challenging to me, but usually I kind of figure it out after a while. Supposedly with this, you are supposed to hit the lock button twice, and then there's that little start button that's right on the bottom of the remote. You can barely see it because it's focused in on this, but you could do this. I've done this like from the top of my apartment, and this is what I'm talking about, the whole thing with the trickiness. But I mean, there you go. Now it's started. So I mean, I love auto start in the idea of the winter time. It's just too damn cold to be getting out and starting it. And now that it's started, let's go ahead and walk up to it, hit the lock, jump in the inside of it, and you notice that none of the the fans are running for the most part, but if you set it up for like defrost, you know, you'll get in this thing and it's already pretty much set. And the windows will defrost, but at least what the main thing of this is it's going to get it kind of like up to OS, you know, like the operating temperature. And then when you get in here and, you know, it's started, you're like, you know, you hit the button, it's not doing anything. Put your foot on the brake, press the button. Now she's alive. Something around with this also, I mean, I've toyed with it, so like the fans, if you do that auto start and you kind of have them set up where it's like defrost, you know, and kind of warm up the floor, I've noticed that it kind of does that sometimes. But the only thing that sucks is really, for the most part, it's going to get it within that operating temperature and then it's going to shut off. So maybe this thing will run for like 5-10 minutes if you're lucky. Maybe 15, but I'm not promising anything. But that's a pretty solid review. I mean, I can give on the Buick Enclave. And I mean, for me personally, I've always liked General Motors and Chevy better than Ford. I know a lot of people ain't gonna like that. Some people have their preferences, but I think every time I look at it on the luxury side, the design side, I always feel like Chevy is like knocking it out of the park. But especially with Buick on this one, I just like it. And it's kind of a Chevy product. And it feels pretty solid for the most part. So this was for the 2019 Buick Enclave. Personally, I like it. I would recommend it to certain people, depending on what your needs are. It's kind of a luxury type SUV, which is awesome. So, trying to think of anything that I haven't covered. The only thing also that's goofy in this is the parking brake is right here on the side, and it's a button. It's not an actual, you'll push in the thing and you break your leg trying to get it pushed in. It's just different. So that's it for this review. If I missed anything, or you guys think I could have added anything else, or you have something you'd like to add about this vehicle, please put it in the comments below and just share it with the community, and let's talk to each other. You can talk to me. I probably missed something, I'll give you that. I probably missed something, but you know, that's kind of how YouTube is. The idea, we put stuff up, upload stuff, and it's just to give the quickest general review that I possibly could, where it gets straight down to the point. And if you like this video, please hit that subscribe button and share my video with friends or anybody that you might think my videos might help, or actually might kind of give them a little bit of a better insight on a review on something that they might be wanting to buy. I'm looking at trying to make some more videos this year, but I really don't know how much I'm going to upload, but every little bit counts. Every time you guys help me out, you send me somebody, even if you leave me a comment, it all helps build and make it where I can put out some better content. So, as always, thanks for watching my content, and you have a wonderful day.